What is up, beautiful people? I feel truth. Tim here, out in back where I was in the last video. So just stood in place and I woke up and it was blue skies. Not that it lasted too long before the planes came over, but the sun is out here throwing it down, ever persistent. Just done a nice run around the whole perimeter and then up to the summit. The tour is not much of a mountain, but it's a nice mound, a nice decent hill. And it was about a 10k. Completely focused on nasal breathing. Something I looked into, just went up to Strava, just came up. Sync to Strava, there we go. Still plugged in. Completely nasal breathing, a book I got called Oxygen Advantage and one called Close Your Mouth. And it's funny because it's something I had been doing lately naturally at the gym. I'd been working out and never going past the point that I couldn't just be relaxed. And you know, I talked about the most relaxed wins. Like training relaxed, never going past that relaxed stage. I'd finish a set and I'd get down and my mouth would never open and I'd be proud of that. And I think that's, and then the book came into my awareness. A crazy synchronicity the other day. I went to the local park run, Markeaton, never done it in my life. And it's my local one to my parents' house. And I ran completely next to the path on the trail in my Ethics and Athletics Freets on the soft mud next to it. And it was a really good foot workout. My feet were aching the next day. But finished the run and it was early in the day. I had nothing else planned. So what I did, back here I just came to get some water. Nothing else planned, so I went for a walk, the scenic route to the back to the car, so I didn't go the fastest way. I went round, because I saw a nice duck pond. And as I walked around the corner, some young, short blonde girl clocked my eye, and I was like, she's like looking at me like longer, because I hold eye contact with strangers, anyone. And then I could tell she was like, oh, she goes, are you Tim? I go, oh yeah. So me and my friend follow you on Instagram. I was like, oh cool, you got to go into the park run. And she goes, no, I'm teaching a Chi running class at 10 and the park run finished at 9:30. And I've read the book Chi Running and only just getting back into running because I've been really listening to my body lately. Saw a dead sheep on the other side of the mountain. Hopefully there's not one above this. I wonder if my senses could tell me. It's about reclaiming senses. Anyway, she was teaching a Chi running class. I was like, how crazy is that? I was like, do you mind if I join in? So absolutely not, that's fine. I'm going to top this to the top. There's no point coming this far and then missing out on that many milliliters. So I got a reminder crash course 3-hour Chi running class, which is what I needed because there's only so much you can do from studying a book and training yourself without filming yourself and someone giving you guidance. And she filmed me and gave me feedback and taught me the class and 180 cadence and lead from the pull up in the crown of your head, lead with the hips, let the hips rotate, mid to front foot strike, relax the ankles. That's the real one that I had to get my head around from parkour. I'm so used to toeing off, so I had to work on that when I'm running. But all these different things that from Chi running, I'm not saying it's the most perfect running thing, but it's something that I connected with, with the leading from the sort of pelvic and getting your pelvic tilt right is something that comes up in all sports, martial arts, yogas, everything. It's that. And I think if sports, the more competitive sports could apply that, there'd be better athletes, or the best athletes naturally apply that. Anyway, so went through the crash course and that was awesome. That was just random. So shout out Kelly for doing that, and my ego loved it when she sent me the feedback slow motion video of me running, and she said you've got the best form I've ever seen. And I do accredit that to yoga and just mindful training and getting to running at the right time when I could be more mindful. Whereas other sports that I did when I was younger, I've got pre-programmed bad habits that take longer to undo. Whereas if I get into new sports now, I'm far more understanding of how the body works, which is quite exciting. So anyway, that was really cool. So I've been getting into running, and I've not been running too much, but she recommended the Oxygen Advantage book to me, and there's another one called Close Your Mouth. So I've got them, and I've been doing that kind of running. I did a run yesterday, and I was amazed at the pace I ran. And what I witnessed today, because I actually had my heart rate monitor on, was that, you know, people like Rich Roll talk about zone 2 training, zone 2 running, and I think that makes a lot more sense because I was doing so much high intensity. I think most of us have the capacity to go hard every session, and a session isn't complete unless you go super hard. And that is not the way. It's about finishing feeling like you could go again and feeling liberated and not having your willpower all drained in that session, because you need some willpower for life, otherwise you start making bad food choices and all that. So the zone 2 training, what I noticed was that at the peak of like running up this hill at the start, at the pace I was going at, only able to breathe through my nose, it was on zone 2.9. So it's nature's zone 2, so I don't need my heart rate monitor anymore to stay in zone 2. I just do my nose breathing, and I'll try and just run with that for a while and see what that takes me with my fitness wise. Yeah, but that wasn't the point of today. That's a side note. Well, we could talk about it all. It's about getting out, folks. It's always a reminder to get out. Every time I come on this camera, if it's not reminding you to get out, go find an area near you, go connect with nature. This is the real matrix. Everything you see in this screen is nature, is pure nature. The screen itself is not. This is not, this watch is not, these shorts and shoes are not, but this is what we are made of, and is so sophisticated, so intelligent, that most of us cannot fathom it unless we really turn to it. The society doesn't train us to fathom that it's something intelligent. We look at our own creations as only things that can possess intelligence, when this is of the utmost. And it takes some real maturity and some self-empower. Like, you've got to be empowered to trust yourself, to know that you know this stuff. Like, you know this stuff. It's not on someone else to tell you. It's not on the school books to tell you. It's not on YouTube to do it. Maybe it's on YouTube. But it, you know, it's on you to go out and realize that. And that, I said it before, I'll say it again. The idea of being out here is never a fraction of what being out here can do for you. You think, oh, but I've got to sit in the car, I've got to drive. Then where do I even go when I get there? What will I walk? All that in your head is barriers of comfort that we've been put up. But when you are out, it is worth it every single time. And whatever the weather decides, the weather is always perfect. I've got memories of being out for absolutely freezing, shivering, a few layers on, gloves, hats, up a mountain, and then getting back in, and I wouldn't want that memory of that event, of that hike. They're so memorable to be any different. And then I've got memories of being shirtless, running on the top of this through the heather with the sun out hitting me, charging me, and I wouldn't want that memory to be any different. The weather is always perfect to give you the experience and the memory that you're in need of. And it's beautiful. So it's okay. This is you know, I've did handstands since I was a kid, and that is the physical representation of balance. And I just think since then I have always focused on balance, and that's why I'm got a foot in both doors. I follow MMA, UFC, sport. I follow sports. You know, I enjoy sports. That's quite plugged in. You know, competition matrix. I listen to so much modern music and hip hop, like Migos and stuff, man. And what am I listening to now? Nav. I got Nav's album on repeat, man. I listen to real modern culture. I've got a real foot in that door, and I balance that with being so far this way as well. You know, we're drinking urine. We're researching flat Earth. Like, this stuff is like both ends of the spectrum. It keeps us balanced, and then we can always come with understanding. There's no good, there's no bad. It's just how balanced something is. And put this down here. What's up, Upper? We made it back. And that's what I want to remind you of. Find balance. I see a lot of people in the vegan community, a lot of people in the flat Earth community that are still in balance, and they're bringing that imbalance. They're forcing that onto others, and then they're wondering why other people don't understand them or react well to them. And it's because all you see in another human is the balance or not balance that's there, really. Like, when you're interacting with them, and that person you can knock people off balance with your presence, and then you might not see the true them, and they might be an amazing person. When you're not around, they just get shy and nervous, and that happens to all of us. It is a human reaction. Let me jump in my car. There's this big lorry coming. So yeah, it's always about balance. It's always about being relaxed. You know, if you do handstands, when you get good at handstands, you realise, and that's something I was, because I did them so young, I was always breathing when I was in a handstand. That's something a lot of people get into handstands and they're not breathing, and they're holding their breath, and then their body's tense and they fall. And it's always about finding the relaxed. The best athletes, always the most relaxed, the best. You saw me in the BBC interview. You might have seen that one. The chat. I was relaxed. I was calm, and it's trying to maintain and stay on that path, and we get there through balance and through acknowledge, you know, not always the easiest choice in the beginning, but in the long run it becomes the easiest path because it's the truest path for you, and you have to find that and take time by yourself, be in solitude, man. That was one of my favourite quotes. I posted one Valentine's Day and it got a lot of response, and I always have to remind myself of that. Is your ability to love is your ability to be alone, because it's how comfortable you are in your own space. And remember that. Remember that. I love you and leave you. Stay true. Wholeness and balance, vibrations, all that goodness. Look what I got here. Looky here. Looky here. It's party time.